Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into the myths and legends that shaped our world. Today, we re-venturing into the heart of ancient Greek battlefields to meet the terrifying twin sons of the god of war himself. No, I'm not talking about Romulus and Remus. That's a Roman story for another day. I'm talking about Deimos and Phobos, the literal personifications of terror and fear. Ares, the fearsome god of war, was a formidable figure, but he rarely rode into battle alone. By his side, in his golden-reined chariot, were his two most loyal and terrifying attendants. His sons Deimos and Phobos. Their mother was none other than Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. It's a fascinating and almost paradoxical pairing, isn't it? The union of love and war produced the very essence of dread and panic. This tells us a lot about how the ancient Greeks viewed the world, that even from beauty and love, chaos and terror can be born. Unlike many gods who had complex backstories and epic quests, Deimos and Phobos had a singular, chilling purpose. They weren't gods you prayed to for blessings or guidance. Instead, they were the raw primal emotions that gripped soldiers on the battlefield. When armies clashed, the air wasn't just filled with the sound of swords and shields. It was thick with the presence of Deimos and Phobos. Let's break them down. First, there's Phobos. His name gives us the word phobia, and for good reason. Phobos represented the overwhelming, irrational panic that causes soldiers to break ranks and flee. He was the gut-wrenching dread, the cold sweat, the desperate need to escape the slaughter. Imagine being a soldier, seeing the enemy charge, and suddenly being paralyzed by a wave of pure, unadulterated fear. That was the work of Phobos. He didn't just represent fear, he was fear. Ancient writers like Homer, in the Iliad, describe him as a force that could rout entire armies without a single arrow being fired. His presence alone was a weapon. Then there's his twin brother Deimos. If Phobos was the panic that made you run, Deimos was the terror that made you freeze. His name translates to dread or terror. Deimos embodied the horror of war itself, the blood, the chaos, and the sheer brutality of it all. He was the shock and awe of the battlefield, the horrifying realization of one's own mortality in the face of violent conflict. While Phobos spurred flight, Deimos brought about a stunned, trembling horror. Together, they formed a devastating psychological attack on any army that faced their father, Ares. In ancient art, they were often depicted as a matched pair, sometimes with fierce, lion-like heads, accompanying Ares into the fray. The Shield of Heracles, an epic poem, describes them vividly. On the shield were Phobos and Deimos, their eyes glaring and their teeth showing in a grim white row. They were the ultimate enforcers, ensuring that the battlefield was a place of maximum psychological torment. They were the embodiment of what we would now call shell shock or PTSD. The Greeks didn't have the clinical terms, so they gave these feelings a name and a face, to terrifying faces, to be exact. Their influence wasn't just confined to the battlefield. The Spartans, a warrior society that revered martial prowess above all else, were particularly aware of the power of fear. Interestingly, they were the only Greeks known to have built a temple to Phobos, but it wasn't a temple where they went to worship him in the traditional sense. Instead, it was a place to confront and master fear. Spartan warriors would go there before battle, not to ask Phobos to spare them, but to stare fear in the face, to acknowledge it, and to steel themselves against its power. For them, true courage wasn't the absence of fear, but the ability to act in spite of it. This brings up a fascinating point about the Greek perception of their gods. Deimos and Phobos weren't evil in the way we might think of it today. They were natural, albeit terrifying, parts of the human experience, especially the experience of war. The Greeks personified these abstract concepts to better understand and interact with them. By giving names to terror and fear, they could be acknowledged, respected, and, in the case of the Spartans, even confronted. Beyond the myths, the legacy of Deimos and Phobos extends to the stars. When the astronomer Asaph Hall discovered the two moons of the planet Master, Roman equivalent of Ares, in 1877, he fittingly named them Deimos and Phobos. It's a perfect tribute. Just as the mythological twins forever accompanied their father, the two tiny moons are locked in orbit around the red planet, a constant cosmic reminder of the god of war and his fearsome sons. Phobos, the larger and inner moon, orbits Mars so closely that it will one day be torn apart by the planet's gravity, while Deimos, smaller and further out, drifts slowly away. So, what can we take away from the story of Deimos and Phobos? They are a powerful reminder that the ancient Greeks had a profound understanding of human psychology. They knew that war wasn't just a physical struggle, but a mental and emotional one. These twin gods weren't just characters in a story, they were a way of explaining the visceral, overwhelming emotions that define our darkest moments. They represent the primal fears that are as much a part of the human condition today as they were thousands of years ago. The next time you hear the word phobia, you can trace its roots back to a terrifying god riding a chariot alongside Ares. And when you look up at the night sky at the planet Mars, remember its two tiny companions, forever circling the eternal personifications of terror and fear. They are a testament to the enduring power of myth to capture the deepest truths of our nature. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey into the darker side of Greek mythology. It's truly incredible how these ancient stories continue to resonate with us. If you enjoyed this video and want to explore more tales from the ancient world, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next adventure. Let me know in the comments which mythological figure you'd like to see us cover next. Until then, stay curious.